Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Ardog with the Triple G, and I'm back with Wangle and the Grady. We just watched game one between Press Tab and the Professors. Exclamation point bracket to stay up to date with the games today. What's the score? Where are we at the quarterfinals? Exclamation point bracket. We saw how the Professors put on a show and was able to dominate and ultimately win game number one. But we also saw Sereth in the hands of Nitro. With that being said, let's take a look at some Sereth stats from Swiss and groups. Grady, what are you seeing on the screen?
Well, as you can see, Seraph has only 2 games played, but with a 100% win rate. So 1.41% pick rate and 1.41% ban rate. Nobody's really touching this character, but we did see it do incredibly well in that last game on Nitro. So very interesting to see.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
definitely.
and one
Go ahead, Wangle.
sorry, one thing that I'd like to call attention to is it only had 2 games in Swiss stage. We think of Nitro as the guy that plays it. However, Nitro wasn't even here for group stage, so in the hands of the offlane Sereth creator, master, whatever you want to call him, we can even see we could see the win rate stay to 100% because in games where it is good, Nitro will play it and he'll play it very, very well.
And we saw how good he was, even though they did a little bit of a lane swap mechanic from Press Tab. He was able to respond and react well. And we saw how he was just diving. He didn't even care. He went to mid lane. He rotated over there and secured the kill over on to the mid laner from Press Tab. So there's a lot of at stake here for game number 2 for Press Tab, because if they win this, they are totally out of the tournament. PCC 7 goodbye. Okay, they are not going to be coming back tomorrow. Meanwhile, if the Professors win this second game, they'll be coming back tomorrow for our semifinals and grand finals. And speaking of which, we will be back live tomorrow at 11 Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. CET. For those who are from Europe, if you're interested in watching that as well, it is going to be a nutty of a weekend. It's main event, everybody. All right, without further ado, let's take a look at the bracket. Grady, we saw that they banned the Kalari out. Do you think that's a good ban from Press Tab, or are you expecting something else?
I would really like to see something different. As you saw, there was no Kalari last game, right? It was first ban, but the Professors absolutely dismantled Press Tab with no Kalari. Six was just piloting the Chimera. Like I said, in the last draft, they do have pretty deep character pools. You can't really ban them out. You might not like dealing with the Kalari, but Press Tab, you're going to have to find a way to deal with it because you really got to take Crazy Fall off of the Richter. We saw those hooks hitting. We can't put the Richter in his hands again.
And are you expecting the same, Wangle?
Definitely the same ban from Professor's side. They really don't like the phase. We are seeing the Kalari ban again. I guess Press Tab have just decided that's the thing that they want to get out of the game. Even though they played against the Richter last game when 0016, classic Crazy Full fashion, he's hitting the hooks, he's doing the things that he needs to in order to generate picks, create openings for his team to take objectives, take towers, what have you. They decided, nope, Kalari's still more important to get off the table. Maybe we see a different first pick here. We had the Zarus last time. I know Press Tab very much think it's very strong in both of its roles, both offlane and jungle. But it seemed to be a little bit disconnected with the ults last game, where it was going in away from the team, or the team wasn't in a position to follow up. So we are going to see it as the first pick still. So we might be running back a very similar draft.
Yeah, looks like Press Tab is saying they want their salty run back. They definitely going for the same first ban and first pick, and we see Professors are locking in Gideon and Argus. So Argus most likely going over to Crazy Fool in support. Gideon once again going back to Soul Reaper in mid lane. Professors very comfortable where they're at right now with their draft, with locking in those 2 picks. Press tab, I'm going to need to see something from you guys. You guys had a pretty solid early game or opening of your last game. They weren't able to capitalize on getting that first blood and getting some momentum on the map. So hopefully in their top 3 here, they're able to get some picks that are going to be able to assist them with actually getting something going. And hopefully they were able to do a little mental regroup, because we did see them looking a little shook up in that first game. Maybe it was just first time jitters, and we should see a better performance in this second game. So Narbash and Rampage both being locked in, very strong first or top 3 picks coming out of Press Tab. So, and then Crunch being locked in over on the side of Professors.
Yeah, so a couple things to break down here. Press Tab, very much fans of the Narbash. Azazel seems to be his staple pick throughout the tournament so far, and they really like it with the Rampage Zarus. Zarus, I can imagine going slightly a tankier build in the latter stages of the game, and they just want to be the team that are going to be running in with 2 beefy boys, big frontliners, running in, jumping on whoever they want to, and then getting beefed up even more by the Narbash, both with the heals and with whatever stats he's giving based on the items, if he goes Crystal Tier, the ability haste, or things like that. But we are seeing the Crunch come out. The Zarus and Rampage both, can get CC locked by this Crunch pick, and we're seeing gadget bans and a Seraph second ban for PTAB. So I guess that's the one that they did get terrified by last game, not the Richter pick.
So we do see Drongo being locked in as the 4th pick. Once again, Survivor being the game day. Drongo OTP, only on Drongo duty. The gadget ban, very interesting because we didn't see that in the first game, unless I'm mistaken. But it is really solid into their team comp, into the Gideon and the Crunch. Very interesting to see, like you mentioned, the Seraph ban coming out from Press Tab. Something that they're not used to seeing. So, it's always safe. If you don't know how to deal with it, take it off the board. You won't have to deal with it anymore. And it's just a safe ban overall. Really interested to see what Press Tab do decide to lock in. They still need their mid laner, and they still need their AD pick. So I'm assuming we're probably going to see another Twin Blast pick, maybe even another Howitzer pick. And instead of the Twin Blast, we get Kira, but we're going to have a run back of Howitzer in the mid lane. Very similar comp for Press Tab in this game as their last game. Sevarog being the last pick for the Professors. Wengel, what are you thinking about these team comps, man?
The Sevarog pick, something that has popped up very recently in Professor Scrims. Nitro is going to be piloting it in the off lane. They're putting him in the weak side Princess. He's going to be scaling for late game. But the thing I want to call out about this draft is the Kira Narb duo lane, something that's kind of regarded as one of the worst duo lane pairings in Predecessor. 2 very low prio picks. Neither can clear the wave, neither can really even step up. And it allows the Argus Drongo to kind of cast from range and always have the prio to do stuff.
And that is the draft. But Grady, this is game number 2, and there's a lot at stake here for Press Tab. How can they beat the Professors with this team comp?
Well, they have a couple of options, right? They can look to shut down the Sevarog, get the Xerus big, get the Xerus all over the map, and looking to punish the squishy targets on the side of the Professors. Or the Rampage can do what Rampages like to do, and he can go over and try to camp the duo lane. That Drongo and that Argus are going to be very, very aggressive in that duo lane, right? Survivor Crazy Fool on 2 aggressive picks into what Wengel said is a low prio lane, so that Kira and the Narbash are going to have a really rough time dealing with that. So Rampage is over there to bail them out, maybe land them a couple kills. They might be able to get some traction and get moving in this game.
And lastly, Wengel, looking at the Professor's team comp, how can they continue to snowball and secure their victory in game number 2 with this team comp?
Yeah, very obviously, the Crunch is going to have a lot to do. It has multiple things it can gank. It can get onto the Howie if they're able to get some CC. So Reaper will be able to follow on the ganks. Howie can get picked, but the main thing is obviously going to be the duo lane. Around 6 spikes, the Professor's team is probably the stronger team. I don't think the Kira will be able to get her ult off at all this game. At least in an ideal scenario. So it's kind of up to Press Tab to slow the game down and keep it even. If they are, then the NARB will scale, and they will be able to play these fights a lot better. But Professors obviously have the prio to run away with this game with their draft.
I guess we'll have to see. Are we going to be seeing another lane mechanic swap, 5v5 at mini prime? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll just have to see. We're going to throw it back to our casters, Lance and Tedium.
Thank you so much, R-Dog. We are ready for game 2 here. A little bit of change in the comps. I'm still shocked to not see Richter banned or picked at all through that entire draft process. Give me your thoughts, Weedium.
Honestly, Lance Ashishal, I think the big thing, Professors, they don't want, they like playing Predecessor. They don't want to win too fast, maybe. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just want to, take them off the Richter, let the game slow down a little bit, have some fun, take their time, enjoy a nice long day of Pred.
Maybe that's what they're looking for. I do want to say, though, Crazy Fool is the self-proclaimed best Argus in the world and the moon. So we will have to see if they have decided to give them mercy by not picking the Richter, or if they've decided to go full gas pedal by putting Crazy Fool onto this Argus. We also see Survivor on the character that he played and was like, I believe 10-0 or something close to the end of the last game on this Dronger, the Dr. Ongo. Where is the spot that PressTab can get themselves back into this game and try to find an advantage?
Well, it's certainly not in the duo lane. As Grady pointed out, Narbash Kira is gonna have trouble facing up against this Dr. Ongo and the Argus. But in the mid lane, I do kind of like Howie into Gideon. Maybe Feppy has, seen what was happening in the last game and maybe was able to make a couple changes, hopefully. But really, the big thing for PressTab is this off lane. Rizbro is playing a very aggressive early game, as I always say, very strong level 1 through 3 on Zarus, and Nitro is playing Sevarog, who is going to take a long time to come online. So Rizbro has the opportunity to snowball this lane, especially if he gets a little bit of help from his Rampage, who is similar in that he, in comparison to the Crunch, is going to have more impact earlier in the game.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Crunch, because I think that that's something that we also need to mention here. Six, one of the best people at counting to 3 in the entire community, was really heavily playing Crunch during the first couple of months of the game opening up for its beta. Way back in 2022, early 2023, he was all over that hero. We talked about it a little bit before, how he had kind of fallen off, not Six had fallen off. Crunch, the hero, had fallen off. Hadn't really been in favor. We've only really seen Nugslit from the Hive pick Crunch in comp Predecessor lately. But with Six being one of the best Crunches in the game, able to pick it up here, play it into this Rampage on the side of PressTab. We'll have to see what sort of advantages he can get, as his clear early is much faster than the Rampage's is.
His clear is faster, but his gank potential is certainly lower. Bears, if he's landing these rocks, he can engage along with a lot of his teammates from distance. As I said in the last game, this Howie, a rock from afar can be followed up with a rocket from afar or a boop from afar. They have longer engage range.
And we see, just like in the last game, Six coming over here to take the prio onto this Scion buff. Try to get an early XP lead into the off lane, or onto the side of Professors, at least, as it does look like Six is going to be the one who ends up picking that up. Crazy Fool does hit the stun into Azazel, followed by the Crystal, which is going to pull him in. Gonna have to use the Thunk for the disengage there, as Azazel probably going to fall if that Thunk does not land. And just as we said, or just as Wangle said as we were leading up to this, so easy for Survivor and Crazy Fool to step up here, do some poke, do some long-range chip damage, and take the action to Epps and Azazel here on heroes that need several levels into them before they are too impactful in a game.
Luckily for them, though, that chip damage, that poke, can be washed away by Azazel and his walking fountain. I think that these lane matchups, although it's very clearly in favor of Dr. Ongo and Argus, they, have some ability to counter it.
They do, and here is Six once again coming over to the off lane. He's going to use the Q to be able to get out. Going to have to flash away too from Risbro. Probably doesn't want to stay and pick up this lane unless Six does walk away, which it looks like he is. So Risbro not going to lose this experience from about a wave and a half here. Going to have to farm it under his tower, but they are already pressuring and identifying that this lane may be their weak side of it and that Nitro might need a little bit of assistance. The rest of these lanes have the priority, have the advantage, so Six can focus this and try to keep this Sevarog in this game early where he is at a disadvantage into the Zarus.
Yeah, and when we're seeing things happen here in this duo lane, Crazy Full Survivor are actually positioned pretty well. This gank from Bears might not be super fruitful. He's right by his tower.
He is right by his tower, but the rock does land. The thunk lands after that, but actually it looks like it's Epps who is going to take the worst of this trade. Crazy Fool should be able to just get a back off and reset here as just Epps and Epps, Azazel, and Survivor are the only ones left standing in the lane. Rock's going to go a little over Survivor's head, so no counter get or no follow-up secondary gank coming out here. Survivor trying to soak up some solo XP, but like you said, right by his tower, no real potential to jump in here and try to do anything to him, and especially with Six waiting right behind the fog wall.
Yeah, but maybe Epps and Azazel are able to take this gold buff. Looks like they do elect to take it. Survivor just getting some vision, but Crazy Fool and Six are in the area, and they have to retreat.
Oh, that's not good. The Azazel is going to have to flash there, and we saw Six at the beginning of that. I was really hoping they weren't going to take the bait and go for that gold buff. They were licking their lips, hoping that they were going to, able to burn the flash out of it. Didn't get the kill that they were expecting. Soul Reaper going to ult from behind the wall here, but Peppy able to just kind of walk out of it as he is pretty full health, and Reaper just doing what he can to bully him, honestly.
Look, I like the attempt from Reaper. He's out of mana. He's just kind of like, I'm just going to throw these out, see how much damage I can get out. Feppy, though, was able to just walk away pretty much for free. So Black Hole being down does benefit him in the mid lane. But Nitro potentially giving the hands to Risbro as he Colossal blows him back towards his own minions. Now into the river, and it's not a safe haven, Risbro. Nitro with the first blood in the Sevarog into Zarus matchup, but now he's in danger as it's another interesting lane rotation in this game as well. The duo lane in the off lane for the second time in a row, and Nitro is on the retreat, but the chase continues as Epps and Azazel might take him down. He doesn't have the Q anymore, so no chance to pop the stacks as Nitro gets safely under his tier 1.
Oh, huge survive by Nitro there. Epps is able to flash in and pick Six up, so at least they get something for coming all of the way over here beside this wave and priority on the mini prime side of the map. But Nitro being able to get out there, putting on a clinic on this hero, are we sure that's not Lobber? With the way he's piloting this Sevarog.
Look, maybe he took a couple lessons from Lobber. Just because they're professors doesn't mean they can't learn from others. Now, it looks like there's an engagement happening right here around this mini prime. Feppy uses the ult, and he now doesn't get any kills, but just throwing some damage onto this mini prime. Bears really wants it, but now Nitro is alone in the pit. Bears forced to blink away.
He is going to pick it up, but he's going to die immediately afterwards as Soul Reaper opens the black hole up on top of his head. So yes, they get the global gold, but immediately the threat that can come with putting your orb or your mini orb buffed up member in a lane and empowering those minions is gone. You see Risbro here trying to play into a lane with Survivor as well, but once again, at a range disadvantage, at a damage disadvantage at this point. Going to be hard for Risbro to consistently stay in here. As you see, actually, it is the dual lane making their way back to their proper lane. Epps and Azazel on their way to try to stop the aggression from Survivor, who is up almost 30 CS on Epps at 9 minutes.
Look, I think that's partly because of this rotation all the way to the other side of the map. I do like it, though. Both times in last game and in this game, Epps and Azazel rotating over to that solo lane did end up being, impactful. They got their team a mini prime. In this case, it was immediately washed away, but still, that doesn't mean that their impact on this side of the map was not fruitful.
And there's no way Nitro is... Oh, okay, I lied to you. I was going to say there's no way Nitro is getting out of this. Coliseum is going to come down, as I know he does not have his flash. Going to use the Slither to get out of there. Soul Reaper doing a very good job of body blocking Bears from being able to pursue him, and nobody's going to fall there when it really felt like Nitro was absolute toast. But speaking of toast, Epps is going to get stuck down into the toaster as Six roams around, gets that good gank off, which should free them up for this first Fangtooth of Game 2 of our first quarterfinals.
Look, there's just... Epps is really, really impactful on the offlane, but he's struggling here on this side of the map. He is just being able to be run down, and the key thing that happened there was Professors actually made sure to stop dealing damage to Epps to give Survivor that kill, who is getting focused down by Feppy's ultimate, but run away.
Oh, Soul Reaper hits a
Black Hole
nice
comes out.
ult on the three of them, but he's gonna die right away under all of it, which actually, it seemed like the advantage was to the side of Professors here after they had killed Epps. But the death timers are very short, as we are only 10 minutes into the game. They're going to get back in here. They're going to pick Soul Reaper up, who ults on the ground, and it's actually press tab, once again, taking an early objective advantage in these games of these quarterfinals so far.
Yeah, but they're not healthy enough, and, Azazel has no mana, so they don't actually, want to stay up here too long. Six is in the area, but he is low health, so will not be looking for a gank.
Yep, just going to hit that reset off, try to get back, get a couple more items, get that scaling going. He is level 6 at this point, so the full kit of Crunch unlocked, which is where he really does become a hero. But let's talk about this level advantage in this offlane. Nitro up 2 levels on the Zarus.
This is not something you want to see if you're a Zarus. Zarus is good into Sevarog, especially early. It's when they hit level 6 that Sevarog will not win the fight, but will be able to peel himself out of the cage, because, of course, if Zarus leaves the cage falls down, so you just ult him off of yourself, leave the cage by just walking away. The fact that he's winning this is really coming down to the fact that he's been getting a lot more impactful rotations.
He has been getting more impactful rotations. He's been to the places that he's needed. They also haven't been able to take him down at the times they need to, but they are going to try once again as Bears comes in with the rock. Coliseum's going to fall down from Risbro as well, but just like you mentioned, it takes one colossal blow. That Coliseum is down. We miss Soul Reaper, but he does pick up the solo kill onto Feppy in the mid lane, and it actually looks like Risbro's going to be the one to fall. So Nitro gets ganked. Does not matter. He gets the kill back the opposite direction. Bears has to retreat from his own red side jungle, and much like what we saw in game 1, Tedium, it feels like PTAB doing what they can to get these neutral objectives, but the fights are going the way of Professors, and it feels like we're just repeating what we saw last game, and the snowball is starting to roll down the mountain at this point.
As we said in the last game, PTAB's composition really wants to be engaging on the fights. They really want to be starting things off. They really want to be engaging when it's their advantage, and they just haven't been able to have these opportunities. They're really focusing on getting Nitro, and I think that's important because you don't really want a Zarus that's 2 down on a Sevarog, but I think at this point they really need to try and focus on this dual lane, because I think it's actually Epps who's going to be able to deal the damage that can follow up.
If it's not going to come from your ADC, I'm not sure where it's going to come from. Feppy has gotten himself pretty far behind in this game. Risbro kind of all but out of this game as well, especially into a character like Sevarog, who is now just so much more tanky than the amount of damage that Risbro can even deal. Bear's going to have to jump out from his attempt to invade that enemy 5 camp. I think he was able to get a decent amount of that, so good for Bears, but still has a lot of catching up to do, as the rest of PTAB does as well.
Yeah, no mid lane tower anymore for Feppy. He's in a lot more danger, and yeah, you push him into yourself, he's just gonna ult you. Six comes in as well, and Feppy might be in danger.
Feppy is in danger. Reaper going to take the Torn Space up on top of it. Six going to be able to pick this up. Rest of the members of PTAB rushing towards the mid lane to try to keep that mid-tier... Or actually, the mid-tier 1 is already gone, so they're just rushing here to defend the tier 2 to stop themselves from losing that at this point in the game. Kind of surprised to see only one tower so far down and taken in this game, 14 minutes in. See Professors here moving towards the mini prime, trying to secure that. We'll see if Press Tab decides to pop the Behemoth and make it, but they're going to be a little too late. Behemoth does come out. Big Coliseum's going to trap everybody inside of it, but are you trapping them or are they trapping you in there with them? F's actually going to be the first one to pick it up, go in to the Purge, going to try to do what he can to put some damage down, as it looks like still only 6 has fallen. Survivor is getting very low in this fight in the 1v1 against Bears. You see Nitro having to use the Slither away. Crazy Fool here with a little bit of peel to make sure that Nitro remains deathless and is able to get out there. So Mini Prime secured for the Professors, but Press Tab does pick up a kill in the fight and are looking to maybe get this first tier 1 tower for themselves in the offlane and even up the score.
This is exactly what I said. Press Tab wants to fight when they have the advantage. The other team was on the mini prime. They were a little bit distracted. They were able to get a really solid Coliseum, and that combined with a Behemoth just blocking all the damage, really. Epps was kind of free casting, and he ends up getting a double kill in that fight, taking out the jungler, who I assume got the mini prime, and also taking down the enemy ADC. And then they didn't end up getting the tower, but they got a fight in their advantage. That's what this team comp wants to do. Sadly, Soul Reaper on the other side of the map does take down the tier 1 against Feppy.
He does take it down, and it looks like they're going to get themselves their first Fangtooth as well. So both of them getting the extension to their buff durations at this point. Neutral objectives have tied themselves back up as far as Fangtooth and Mini Prime are concerned. Both teams having won at this point. Both of the people who secured the Mini Prime also die immediately after taking it too. So a little bit of a Spider-Man meme.
Absolutely, but Risbro, he still has his tower, so not looking to be, tower dove by Nitro. Instead, they're looking to just maybe get a kill and take his tower after.
Bears takes down the best Argus in the world on Crazy Fool. Risbro getting pressured on the other side of the map, though. Nitro going to sneak behind him, hit him with the Colossal Blow. That should be a tier 1 tower on this side, but Survivor here against 4 members all by himself until 6 shows up here. Behemoth does come out. 6 going to come and do what he can to try to pop him up. Make It Rain comes down from Feppy, and that's going to be Survivor falling as 2. Bears picks up both of the kills on that, now sitting at 2, 1, and 3, and they've got their eyes set onto this tier 2 tower. 6 is here to try to defend it. Big Black Hole is going to come, make everybody jump out and clear the wave as well from Soul Reaper here. So the pressure onto the tier 2 now has been swatted, but on the other side of the map, as we've been saying, these guys are doing a really good job of each of them playing the other side of the map and knowing where they have an advantage and have a disadvantage at. And right now, Professors has an advantage in the off lane, getting some chip damage into this tier 2.
An advantage might be an understatement. Nitro has clearly won this lane, and it's not really all that close. Risbro has been struggling. He's been getting focused, though. Soul Reaper, as we said, loves to gank offlane, and he does it again. He ganked offlane, they take the tier 1, then Soul Reaper backs and defends his tier 2 on the other side of the map, but Soul Reaper has been in this offlane consistently.
And that's something that I expect to see tomorrow if Professors wins this game and makes it to our semifinals as well. Soul Reaper, pretty much anytime I've ever watched him scrim or do anything competitive-wise, he is such a heavy roaming champion and player, always moving over to check out what's going on in the duo lane, in the off lane, making impacts, helping to make sure and secure that his side lanes have the advantages in games, which really appears to be the winning formula for Professors.
Yeah, and it's not like he gives up on his mid lane advantage either. He has won that lane pretty solidly as well. The tower is gone, and Feppy is forced to defend his tier 2. And actually, Soul Reaper takes the red buff from Bears.
He does take the red buff. He's also going to take a little bit of aggression here, as many members of Professors, 3 of them in fact, have moved over into this red side jungle, once again claiming their territory, letting Press Tab know that this might be your side of the map at the beginning of this game. We are 19 minutes in, and now this is our side of the map. Pressuring both tier 2 towers, or trying to get waves into both of these tier 2 towers in the off lane and in the mid lane. Nitro does have Bears behind him. Gonna take a rock to the face, but as we've seen, a lot of self-peel potential for Nitro here, who is going to just kind of slap Bears back and forth a little bit, very unafraid to fight both of these. Does miss the subjugate, will take another rock to the face, but just barely falling below half health at this point, as he's been occupying 2 members' attention from the side of Press Tab.
And there's Soul Reaper looking to gank this off lane again. Nitro not scared, saying, I'm going to push forward, I'm going to bait them in. And there's his Gideon. Black Hole's ready. Is Rizbro in danger?
And Rizbro just used the stun as well, so he's going to have to commit his flash to get himself out of there. Behemoth does come from the side of Bears, but the portal from Soul Reaper going to be able to help Nitro get out as well. Feppy, I don't think, wants to step up into that. The rest of the members of Professors are over there in their blue side, but Epps, the single dingle, the solo bolo, he's going to put down Survivor.
We said it early. They need their damage to start coming online, and Epps certainly has done so. They need to be focusing all their engagements around Epps, and then, of course, on the other side, Professors, they need to get Epps. He's kind of the real, threat that PTAB has right now, and I know that Professors are, maybe thinking, man, I really wish I had a Richter so I could pull that little Kira in.
Yeah, I'm sure that is the exact thoughts running through their heads, but we got to get ready for this. The third Fangtooth of the map is getting set to spawn. Looks like Press Tab has the inside track. With them being on this side of the map, the members have arrived first, as well as Survivor just passing his tier 2 tower. But I feel like the enclosed area team fight, although they've got a Crash Bang Boom and the Purge from Epps, just feels a little stronger for Professors for some reason in these. Epps in a little bit of a forward position here, kind of on his own. They might be giving up their tier 2 in mid for the second Fangtooth. Actually, it looks like they're just going to set the wave, get a good priority here, as Six does take a rock from it. Survivor now in retreat mode, as he was isolated, is going to get booped up by Crazy Fool with the crystal here. Try to help him survive a little bit, but Crazy Fool now the one who is taking a bunch of damages. Bears is into the backline. Survivor's going to get put down. Crazy Fool is going to get put down. Bears is doing what he can to get up on top of Six here, but Epps is going to pick him up as well, going absolutely ridiculous here for a quick second. Is Epps definitely doing a lot of damage, is going to end up falling himself, as well as Rizro. So with 3 members up on the side of Press Tab, 2 members up on the side of Professors, I don't believe we'll see anybody going for this mini prime.
Epps picks up a triple kill in that engagement as they chase everyone from the left side of the map all the way to their base. But they do fall down in trade, and Six and Nitro just decide to take this Fangtooth all by themselves. But of course, Bears is in the area. No ultimate available for him, though.
No ultimate available, no Fangtooth available as well. Gonna miss the point blank rock, which I don't think he wanted that fight anyways. Probably good he didn't hit that and decide to go in after it, as, yeah, Azazel was right around the corner, but Nitro has been putting on an absolute clinic on this Sephiroth. Probably would have been able to eat him up pretty quickly, even with that passive on Bad News Bears, giving him the extra health regen while in the jungle. There's just not much he would have been able to do there, in my opinion.
No, his best bet was probably just a 50-50 coin flip. But really, what's been happening, and I really don't like pointing this out, is this is what happened in Game 1. Bears has not been accurate with these rocks, and it continues to be the trend here in Game 2. This composition really wants to engage when they have the opportunity, when they have the advantage off of the back of one of these rocks. And with them not hitting, their whole team plan really falls apart. Epps trying so hard. There's not much he can do when, there's not a lot of opportunity to start fights on their own merit. Nitro, though, starting a fight on his own merit.
He is starting the fight, and Nitro, he dodges 2 of the big CC abilities and then comes back, hits a Colossal Blow right into his own team. Coliseum's gonna come out, but there's already... Actually, it looks like the only member that has fallen so far is Six, and Nitro's going to be the next to go. Big Black Hole is going to come out of Soul Reaper here, right on top of Bears and Azazel. Azazel's going to be the next to fall. Epps falls as well. Make it rain from Feppy. Is it going to be enough to pick up Soul Reaper? Doesn't look like it is just quite yet. Going to get some assistance from the Orb Prime as well, who's going to beam Soul Reaper, and now it is Crazy Fool and Survivor in here on this alone. They're going to have to get off of this as they don't have anybody to take it or anybody to secure it, but that is the full 5 members dead RGS ace for the size of Professors in that fight.
I actually thought that the engage from Nitro was really good, and then I completely changed my mind halfway through that fight. Epps got a kill onto 6, he got a kill onto Nitro. I was like, whoa, Epps is just doing so much damage, you can't even engage on him. But then all of a sudden, the rest of Professors rotate in and blow up the remaining 5 teammates of PTAB, and the fight looks completely different after that. Epps still remains the real source of damage and the real source of hope for PTAB. And the moment he's gone, fights look very different.
The fights look completely different. It's also going to free them up a very, very free Or Prime, as nobody from Press Tab remotely close to being able to contest it, and they need to be careful here in their own red side jungle as well, as if any of these members fall in here, it might be enough to snowball into the game completely finishing. Do still have to get through these tier 2s, still have to get through these inhibs, but with the amount of siege that is in this Professor's comp, and with having the Or Prime buff up at only 25 minutes, there's a insane amount of pushing pressure here, especially with Peppy on the other side of the map trying to do some counter split pushing.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of lane clear without Feppy. That's one of the dangers of Kira. She doesn't really offer much value when you're very, very behind at clearing these waves, but clearing health bars is what Crazy Fool does, as BN Bears falls in his inhibitor.
Ooh, Rizbro comes down with the Coliseum onto a full health crunch, so maybe just trying to lock him into place, but this could spell disaster for them as that Coliseum is down now. They also do not have their BPS frontliner in BN Bears, as he got caught with a large CC chain. Make It Rain does come out, but it's not going to be enough to put down Crazy Fool. Soul Reaper's going to come in with the black hole, but it's the health bars of PTAB that is starting to fall. Rizbro's starting to go a little bit low now too. Big, long stun does miss from Crazy Fool, but very, very close. Good for the zoning. Actually, only Epps remains. 4 members have fallen. The Purge is going to try to come in, but they're just going to bop him up. That's 5 members down again. That's our first quarterfinals of the day. Professor's going to take it down in clear, exquisite precision with the way that they played both of these games. Very, very clean. Epps did put up a very good performance in this game, trying to do what he can to play hero ball, but it's not going to be enough. 2-0 for Professors. What do you think, Tedium?
I think if I'm Epps, I certainly want to avoid pressing tab in that game and seeing what is going on with the rest of my teammates. Epps tried really, really hard, but when you're the only person who's really able to put any damage out, who's really able to do anything impactful in any of these engagements, and you're a Kira, there's a ceiling to what you can do by yourself as a Kira. You can't clear waves. You are pretty vulnerable. You could potentially get your ult canceled right away. I think
I want to give
PTAB just...
Oh, go ahead.
I think PTAB just had exactly what happened in game 1 happen for a second time, and I think they actually had a worse ADC than they did in the first game.
I struggle to disagree with it. I do want to thank PTAB, all of the guys, Rizbro, Bad News Bears, Feppy, Azazel, and Epps for participating in our tournament. You had an amazing run. Congratulations for qualifying for the top 8, but we got to send it back to our desk to break that game down a little further for us.
Thank you so much, Lance and Tedium. Congratulations, Professors. You are advancing to the semifinals. Exclamation point bracket to keep track of the games today. If you want to know who's playing on what team, what's the current score, exclamation point bracket. That'll get you to the website. GG's and thanks for playing Press Tab. Wow, I gotta hand it to them though. Watching game number 2, Epps really popped off a little bit, but unfortunately it wasn't enough because game number 2 goes the way of the Professors. Wangle, what happened? What went wrong for Press Tab?
First off, gotta say fair play to the boys on Press Tab. Much better performance than game 1. Really came out, really tried to show, we deserve to be here in the top 8, made Professors, have to think a bit, put some pressure on them. Played much better as a team at times, but I think ultimately where it fell apart was not playing as a team in the right times and scenarios, not knowing who to prioritize, how to peel for them. Like Epps very fed in that game. Obviously, offlane was pretty behind, so Nitro is very big. But if you have a fed ADC versus a fed Sev, the ADC should have the priority. The team with the fed ADC should have priority, but Epps dying a little too easily in some of the fights, not getting peeled enough, not getting focused, or slightly out of position, whatever happens. But really good showing from them. Like, really good job.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job during that series. That was the 8th seed versus the first. But Grady, what else did you observe, and how did the professors secure a spot in the semifinals?
Well, the professors are really good at generating pressure, and also they're very good at dealing with pressure, right? We saw at around the 12-minute marker, Nitro dealing with the 1v2 very easily, and then ending up with a kill out of that as well onto the Xerath. He was very huge. He played the map very well. Everybody on the professor, Soul Reaper, managing his rotations very well, picking up kills here and there, getting the flashes for his team to help them set up plays. And then the professors did a good job of identifying who was doing the damage on PTAB, right? Kira dies, the game's over. And anytime they pick the Kira, the fight's over. Kira was making some big plays, but there were just too many members of Profs that were able to make something happen.
And you can see how their communication just translates into their gameplay, because whoever they prioritize, everybody would just hone in on that single hero or person. But if you like what you're seeing here at the PCC, please make sure to drop us a follow, subscribe. We are on YouTube, Twitch, Discord, X, TikTok, Instagram, all of the socials. We also still have we're still building funds for our prize pool and of course the PCC production. And so make sure to type in the chat !support and make sure to just support us, because we're here and we're having a good time right along with you. But best of 3 series number 2 will be Dirty Lake and the boys versus Flow State coming up next. We will be right back.